You know something, motherfuckers? Let me tell you something, alright? The last video I did about Ava Marie and NXT and the NXT problem really prompted me to make this video, alright? NXT and AEW both completely suck. And here's why. This is irrefutable proof. It is an irrefutable logical argument made by yours truly, your boy, the hater, alright? Let me put it to you this way. If you were, let's just say for a second, you were, I don't know, let's say Red Velvet from AEW, or perhaps you were, I don't know, MJF, right? Or maybe you were Adam Cole, or a Karrion Kross, or Finn Balor, that's a good one right there. Or if you were someone from New Japan, right, that had any aspirations. That New Japan one is a little bit different, but if you're in TNA, if you're in NXT, if you're in AEW and you're not one of the owners or vice presidents, you have one goal, motherfucks. You have one goal. And that goal is to get to Monday Night Raw. To a lesser extent, it's to get to SmackDown. But the primary goal you have in your career is to get to Monday Night Raw. By virtue of this fact, it becomes axiomatic, cucks, that everyone that is not on Raw and or not on SmackDown is a developmental, lower league, jobber-esque jabron of a wrestler. This is irrefutable. No one can say anything, you know? Again, there are some very, very few exceptions. One of them, for example, is, let's say you're, like I said, Cucky Rhodes, Cucky Omega, the Young Cucks, and maybe some Japanese guy like Tanahashi, right? Even he, I would argue otherwise. But these four guys are trying to build a company. And for them, their interests are not aligned with WWE's interests. They are counter to WWE's interests. So Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks might decide that they don't want to go to WWE. However, if you were to take Darby Allin, as will happen soon, believe you me, motherfucks, believe you me, Darby Allin will eventually receive a call from John Laurinaitis or Triple H or perhaps Vince McMahon or Jim Ross when they hire him back eventually. One day he will receive a phone call, and the phone call will say this: "Hey kid, we're giving you a chance to be on NXT, and if you impress us there, you might then go to WWE Raw. And if you're lucky, one day you might wrestle at WrestleMania. You probably will never become the main eventer, but that's good enough. Ain't it, kid?" And here's what's going to happen. Darby Allin is going to say, "How much will you pay me for this?" WWE will likely offer him a substantially bigger salary than AEW does. But I believe that even if they did not, he would still go to WWE. Because the ceiling of WWE is extremely high. Sure, motherfucks, sure. It's easy for Cucky Rhodes to say, "Well, I made more money in the independents than I made on WWE." Yes, because you're Cucky Rhodes. But if you were to be, I don't know, The Rock or John Cena, you would make a lot more money in WWE, and then you would leverage that to a career in entertainment in Hollywood, where you would make obscenely large amounts of money. John Cena has a lot of years ahead of him in his nascent film career. He will make likely, honestly, hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, he'll make more money in 10 years than AEW will make in 10 years. So the potential is very high. Even as a wrestler, you know, Randy Orton isn't going into Hollywood. Triple H isn't going into Hollywood, but they are rich motherfucks because they are fat paid. Undertaker has leveraged his career to be able to come back once a year and make $1 million or $2 million. Look at Brock Lesnar. Look at everybody that is a huge star. Darby Allin, MJF, all these guys will be attracted by the fact that they can one day become Undertaker. They can one day become Triple H. Now, will it happen? Probably not. But they will be attracted by that if they are people of ambition. The alternative is go to AEW and job to Shawn Spears. That's your career path. Everyone, Shawn Spears included, motherfucks, everyone that is not either one of those four people that I mentioned or like Brandy Rhodes and people that are like associated with these people would jump ship like this, motherfucks, as I snap my fingers. Imagine if WWE decides to sign Tessa Blanchard, right? Do you think that if WWE offered Tully Blanchard a job managing his own daughter, do you think Do you really believe that he would be like, no, I have to manage the pinnacle? He would drop them like they are the sack of shit that they are. You understand me? Everyone that's not in WWE is trying to get to WWE. The ones that pretend they're not are playing sour grapes. The same way that people get fired, they refuse to look into themselves. Their ego is too high. I mean the Jungian ego, not their ego like their self-importance, but their Jungian ego has been diluted. They do not look to their shadow, the Jungian shadow again, and see their disappointments, their drawbacks, the negative side of who they are. They don't see it. They just all see themselves as victims. You know, they are no different than those people that like just say like, oh, society ruined my life, so I'm gonna go shoot up the school. Bunch of pussies. Just accept the reality of your situation. So these people, there's two kinds of them. There's the Jinder Mahals and the Drew McIntyres who leave, and Drew McIntyre, it's been on record that Drew McIntyre, as soon as he was fired, the next day he was like, I'm coming back there one day. Now, if Drew McIntyre hadn't made it back, I'm sure the story would be told otherwise. It would be, I never wanted to go back there. You know what I mean? But there are people that really want to and try really hard. Some people, of course, leave WWE willingly, but they always come back, motherfucks. They always come back, or they always go to suckle at the teat of WWE. Everyone you like in AEW, every one of them, including Dean Ambrose, motherfucks, every one of them wants to be in WWE. If you think there won't be a Shield reunion at some point, you've lost your mind. Of course there will be, motherfucks. In 5 years, you don't think Dean Ambrose is gonna go back for like a few more matches? Of course he will. You think he's gonna like live and die in AEW? You think Jericho is gonna stay in AEW? Jericho wants to pad his resume so he can have a GOAT resume. He cannot do that once he leaves forever. He will go back to WWE. He will go back in the same capacity Kurt Angle went back. He will be a Hall of Famer and he will put over someone new. That's what's gonna happen. Everyone that's not in WWE is a developmental talent, or they are a legend that is no longer required in WWE, or will no longer be booked the same way. I'm pretty sure Billy Gunn could get a job in WWE, but Billy Gunn might not be able to hire his two sons and have them become WWE superstars. Although I believe both of them will be signed by WWE eventually, and they will be presented as Billy Gunn's sons, likely with Billy Gunn there to manage them. That's what I believe, yeah? But Billy Gunn cannot pull in people, he cannot do these favors in WWE, because at the end of the day, they're going to be like, no, your sons aren't ready yet. Maybe for NXT, motherfucks. But Billy Gunn understands that he needs to kind of prostitute himself a little bit to AEW. Not prostitute, there's nothing wrong with what he's doing, right? Go there so he can then one day set up a career for his sons. He can train them, they can learn, etc., etc. Cody Rhodes can hire his wife and his brother to AEW. But if WWE says we don't need Brandy Rhodes, we got 30 other broads now. You know, we don't need her. She's never really, stood out. She's an attractive broad, but they weren't hot on her, I guess, right? We don't need Goldust. Beat it, kid. We don't need you. Goldust has had a long WWE career. Even if they need him, he will be chasing R-Truth for the 24/7 title. Goldust has money. Goldust wants to feel relevant. He is a jobber, so he'd rather go and beat up QT Marshall than go chase R-Truth. And I don't blame him. Whatever, fuck it, man. You never became a star. Whatever, it is what it is. You're still good. I like Goldust. But everyone else in NXT and AEW are either legends that are past their prime and will never become main eventers, or they are people that might one day become main eventers. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if MJF eventually makes it to Raw and main events like, Great Balls of Fire 2. I wouldn't be surprised. But he understands his goal. Do not think that MJF's goal, like he says in the promos, I'm going to be here for 20 years. No, you're not, motherfucker. No, the company probably won't be around for 20 years. And even if it is, who gives a fuck? You're going to be WWE wrestling like Apollo Crews for the mid-card title. That's what you'll be doing in 20 years. That's what you'll be doing in 10 years probably. And that's what probably you'll be doing in 5 years or less. There are a few wrestlers in AEW that, not because they're good, but because WWE scoops up anyone that has any modicum of talent, any modicum of fan base. They aren't going to sign like No, no, they're probably not going to sign, let's say, Joey Janela or Sonny Kiss. But they will sign, motherfucks. They will sign, like, MJF. They will sign Jungle Boy. They will sign, in my opinion, Marco Stunt and Darby Allin. They will sign the ones that stand out and that have a place in WWE. Now, Marco Stunt, for example, is going to have a Hornswoggle-like place. He's not going to be this, like, serious wrestler, just like he's not in AEW. But he has enough to make it to WWE. Other people like Sean Spears don't, motherfucks. FTR don't, right? It's as simple as that. They are dispensable, they are disposable. It's just like that. WWE would of course sign Kenny Omega. Of course they would. And he might actually be someone that doesn't go to NXT. He goes directly to Raw or SmackDown, and Adam Page and the Young Bucks can go to NXT. Even the Young Bucks might go directly to Raw. They would be interested in signing Cody Rhodes again, no doubt. You know? No doubt. But the facts are what the facts are. Aside from these people, you know, everyone is not in WWE because they haven't been invited to be in WWE. Do not fool yourselves. No one in ROH dreamt to be in ROH when they were a kid. They all dreamt of main eventing WrestleMania. And they will do what it takes to do that. If they don't, they're either not very smart or they're not very brave. In conclusion, NXT and A-Dub are both jobber feds. This is not new. WCW, who was a legitimate competitor, those wrestlers could hold their head up high and say, I want to be here where the big boys play. Hogan wanted to go to WCW because there was an alternative and he got more money and he got the same amount of viewers and more viewers eventually than he would in WWE. But everybody else wants to go to WWE. Everyone in ECW wanted to go to WWE. Isn't it odd that the good ones from ECW made it to WWE and didn't say a word? The Dudleys, Rhino, RVD. Those are the ones that really stand out. Raven to a lesser extent. Jazz to a much lesser extent. These people made it to WWE and they were either very successful or relatively successful. But that's it. The Balls Mahonies, who didn't make it until ECW was rebranded. The Sandmans, these people that were definitely over. Their narrative wasn't, we weren't good enough like RVD and Rhino. Their narrative was, no, we wanted to stay in ECW. No, you didn't, motherfucker. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Again, there are exceptions. Frankie Kazarian was signed to WWE. He saw the writing on the wall, realized he was going to be a jobber and would have to cut his hair. So he left. That happens. When you're in the company for like 6 months and all you do is go to Velocity, you see the writing on the wall. You know, you're going to be WWE for a few years and then you're going to be released and you probably will be in a worse place than when you started. He did the right thing. There are a few people that do that. But the vast majority of people will go after the money and they will go after the prestige. And if you're good enough, WWE will offer you money. There is a reason why AJ Styles stayed and didn't follow his brothers to AEW. Because AJ Styles is levels above, while the rest of them are developmental level wrestlers. Carl Anderson one time came out at Wrestle Kingdom and he was like, this is my 10th Wrestle Kingdom during his entrance. He was like, that's some Undertaker numbers, motherfuckers, right? And I'm like, yo, good for you, you know what I'm saying? That's some good job security. But let's not compare wrestling at WrestleMania with wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom. Because in order to be at 10 WrestleManias, you have to be Undertaker. In order to be at 10 Wrestle Kingdoms, all you gotta do is be Doug Gallows, or you have to be Carl Anderson. That's all you need, you know what I mean? Or be any one of those 55-year-old Japanese men that have been at like 30 Wrestle Kingdoms, because like all they do is wrestle 4 matches a year. So there you go, cucks. Developmental leagues and the big leagues. There is only one big league company. As a matter of fact, there is only 2, arguably 1 big league TV shows. SmackDown and Raw. I might even say SmackDown isn't big league. It's a move down when you go to SmackDown. Not so much anymore because now like things are a bit more balanced. But generally, it's been seen as a move down. Like, I hate to say it, Christian, one of my favorites, JBL, one of my favorites, would likely never become champions of Raw. They are SmackDown world champions. They are SmackDown level talent. Roman Reigns, of course. You know, John Cena, of course. Randy Orton, of course. These people would be and have been Raw champions. But the majority of them are in SmackDown for a reason, cucks. Booker T as well, another one of my favorites. He's a SmackDown World Champion. He's not going to be a Raw World Champion. He's just not going to be that guy, man. Braun Strowman is a recent one. You know? And that's how it is, cucks. That's how it is. So there you have it, motherfuckers. There you have it. That's how Kofi Kingston, another one. He's never going to be Raw World Champion. It's just not going to happen. Jinder Mahal, it's just not going to happen, cucks. So there you go. The facts are what the facts are. Developmental, D-Leagues, call them what you want. If you're not on Raw or SmackDown, quite honestly, you just aren't that good of a wrestler. Or you are that good of a wrestler, and you will soon be on Raw or SmackDown. That's how it works. You know? Long gone are the days where you have like an AJ Styles here and there, or you have Sting somewhere else, or Kurt Angle in TNA. You know? Those days you could make an argument. TNA, you can make an argument where it became more reasonable to be in TNA than WWE. Because in TNA, you're wrestling AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle. You're wrestling these up-and-coming guys who are supposed to be huge stars. Or you're wrestling legends like Angle, Booker T, Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner. You know, there was a Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. There were enough names there to attract people. Jeff Hardy, you know, all these great wrestlers. But then, eventually, shit hit the fan. And they had to rely on people like Bobby Roode, who obviously wanted to be in WWE. Well, he's there now, motherfucks. He's there now. No one cares about him. That's what I gotta say. If you're not in WWE, you are, and when I say WWE, I mean Raw or SmackDown. If you're in 205 Live, if you're in whatever, like a fucking Sunday Night Main Event, whatever the Saturday Night Main Event, if you're on NXT, if you're in any of this garbage, if you're in NXT UK, that's like worse, you know? Then you're not a big time guy. You are a jobber. You're not good, and no one cares about your wrestling in reality. You are not marketable, or you are not there yet. Or you're contractually obligated, I guess, and you can't go there yet. Like I'm sure MJF was signed to like a long-term contract just because of the fact that if they're gonna give him a push, they're gonna need to hold on to him for a while. That's how it works, you know? That's how it works when you have a company with actual money, you know? That's how it works, cuts. That's how it works. You need to do that. If you can't do that,